Right now, as you're listening to these words, your brain is oscillating between beta and alpha waves. You're alert, yet relaxed. What if I told you there's a moment in your day when your brain enters an even deeper state, where any word you speak becomes a direct command to your subconscious? Florence Scovel Shinn discovered this moment and used it every night for 30 years. She called it the hypnagogic window. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes before drifting off to sleep, where the critical filter shuts down, where the ego sleeps before you do, and where affirmations are planted like seeds that germinate during 8 hours of sleep. But there's a code, a specific sequence, and if you do it in the wrong order, it doesn't work. You're about to discover exactly what Florence did every night before bed, and why hundreds of people who learned this have manifested financial shifts in less than a week. If you've been struggling financially for months or years, listen to me carefully. The problem isn't a lack of money. The problem isn't a lack of opportunity. The problem is you're programming scarcity every day without realizing it. And the worst programming happens at 2 times, right when you wake up and 5 minutes before sleep. Because in these moments, your subconscious is exposed, without defenses, without filters. And most people, in these sacred moments, do the exact opposite of what they should do. Upon waking, they grab their phone and fill their mind with bad news, comparisons, anxiety. Before sleep, they think about the bills they couldn't pay, the problems they haven't solved, the fears they haven't overcome, and the subconscious, which doesn't judge, which doesn't question, which only obeys, receives all of this as an order and spends the entire night processing scarcity, building more scarcity, attracting more scarcity. Florence discovered how to reverse this, and what you're going to learn today changes everything. But before I reveal the code, I need to tell you the story of a woman named Emily. New York, 1927. Emily was 42 years old, 3 children, and divorced. No child support, no steady job, living in a rented room. She had heard about Florence through a friend and went to her house on a Thursday afternoon. Florence received Emily, listened to her entire story, and said something that Emily never forgot. You don't need more money. You need transformed sleep. Emily was confused. What do you mean, transformed sleep? And Florence explained. You spend 8 hours sleeping every day, but before you sleep, you spend those final 5 minutes worrying. And the subconscious takes that worry and works on it all night long. You wake up more anxious than you went to sleep because you programmed anxiety. Florence then taught Emily the 5-minute ritual, a sequence of 4 steps that needed to be done in that exact order. Emily promised to do it every night for 7 days. On the morning of the 8th day, she woke up with a letter under the door. It was from her ex-husband. He had gotten a better job and wanted to start paying back child support. Emily thought it was coincidence. But Florence said, "There's no such thing as coincidence. There is synchronicity. You aligned during 7 nights." The divine responded. Emily continued the ritual. 3 weeks later, she got a job as an executive assistant, decent salary, flexible hours. 2 months later, she was promoted. 6 months later, she was earning more than she did when she was married. And it all started with 5 minutes before sleep. Now you might be thinking, but I've already tried affirmations before bed. I've already tried visualizations. I've already tried intentional prayer, and it didn't work. I know, because you probably did it in the wrong order, or did it with the wrong energy. Florence discovered that it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. It's the sequence. It's the emotional state. Some people do affirmations before bed but are tense. Some people visualize but are forcing it. Some people pray but are desperate. And desperation, tension, forcing, all of that is resistance. And resistance blocks manifestation. Florence's code is different because it takes you, step by step, from tension to surrender, from fear to trust, from effort to flow. And when you get to the fourth step, you're not asking anymore. You're affirming, and you go to sleep knowing that it is done. But hold on, because before I teach you the complete code, you need to understand the science behind it. Because Florence wasn't just a spiritual teacher. She understood how the mind works. And in the last 100 years, neuroscience has proven that Florence was right. There's a brain state called hypnagogia, the transition between wakefulness and sleep. In this state, your brain waves slow down. You go from beta, which is focused attention, to alpha, which is relaxation, and enter theta, which is the trance state. It's the same state that meditators take years to reach, and you enter it naturally every day, 5 minutes before sleep. In this state, the prefrontal cortex, which is the critical part of the brain, decreases activity, and the subconscious becomes exposed, without a filter, without judgment, ready to receive programming. Florence taught that this is the most powerful moment of the day, more powerful than in the morning, more powerful than in the afternoon. Because in the morning you still have an active ego. In the afternoon you have distractions. But at night, 5 minutes before sleep, you are in the perfect frequency, and anything you plant there will be processed for 8 hours. The subconscious doesn't sleep. It keeps working, reframing memories, consolidating beliefs. And if the last thing you planted was an affirmation of abundance, it spends the night building neural pathways of abundance. You wake up different, not because something changed out there, because something changed in here. And when you change from within, the world responds. So the first step of Florence's code is this: release the day. It sounds simple, but most people skip this. And when you skip it, the code doesn't work. Because you can't plant new seeds in soil full of old garbage. So before you affirm anything, you need to cleanse. And cleanse, for Florence, means to show grace to the day. You will mentally review everything that happened from the moment you woke up until now, and you will forgive. Forgiving isn't saying that everything was okay. Forgiving is saying, I'm not going to carry this into my sleep. If someone annoyed you, forgive. If you made a bad decision, forgive yourself. If something went wrong, forgive the situation. You are not absolving. You are releasing. Because as long as you hold on to anger, guilt, frustration, the subconscious will process that during the night, and you will wake up with more anger, more guilt, more frustration. Florence said, the day doesn't end at midnight. The day ends when you release it. And the way to release it is simple. Close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and mentally say, I release this day, everything that happened. I accept everything that didn't happen. I let go. I offer grace to everyone, including myself. And now, I am free to receive the new. That's it. It takes 30 seconds. But these 30 seconds are crucial, because when you do this, you're telling your subconscious, I am not a victim of what happened today. I choose peace. And when you choose peace before sleep, you sleep in peace. And sleep in peace is restorative sleep. It's sleep that heals. It's sleep that manifests. Emily, the woman I mentioned, said that this first step alone changed the quality of her sleep. She used to wake up tired, even after sleeping 8 hours, because she was going to bed carrying the weight of the entire day. But when she started to release before sleep, she woke up refreshed, light, ready. And it was in this state that she started to see opportunities she hadn't seen before. Because a heavy mind only sees problems, a light mind sees possibilities. So, if you only do the first step and stop, it'll still be worth it. But the next 3 steps are where the miracle happens. Second step, acknowledge what already is. This step is where most people get stuck, because the natural tendency, especially when you're in financial difficulty, is to focus on what's missing. I don't have money for this. I don't have the opportunity for that. I don't have luck. I don't have support. And the more you focus on what's missing, the more you create lack, because the subconscious doesn't understand negation. When you say, I don't have money, the subconscious hears money and hears the emotion that comes with it. And if the emotion is lack, scarcity, fear, it understands. Create more lack, more scarcity, more fear. So, the second step inverts this completely. You're going to list mentally 3 things that you already have and that are valuable. And it doesn't have to be money. It can be health. It can be a roof over your head. It can be a person who loves you. It can be the ability to listen to this video right now. Florence taught this to Emily like this. Before you sleep, you're going to say, I acknowledge that I am already rich. I have air to breathe. I have a body that works. I have a mind that can learn. This is already wealth. And when I acknowledge the wealth that already exists, I open space for more wealth to enter. Emily thought it was strange at first. How can I feel rich if I'm broke? But Florence explained, wealth isn't how much you have in the bank. Wealth is recognizing the value of what you already possess. And when you recognize, you activate gratitude. And gratitude is the frequency of receiving. You can't receive more while you're complaining about what you have. Because complaining closes, gratitude opens. So Emily started doing this every night. Before sleep, she listed 3 things. In the beginning, it was difficult. She forced it. But after a few days, it became natural, and something changed. She stopped waking up thinking about what was missing, and started waking up, noticing what was there. And when you notice what's there, you take better care of it. You value it more. And the divine sees that you know how to take care, and gives you more. It's a spiritual law. Whoever is grateful with little receives much. Whoever complains about much loses everything. Florence saw this happen hundreds of times, and now you're seeing the formula. Third step, affirm what is already done. This is the most powerful step, and also the most dangerous if you do it wrong. Because here, you're going to use the spoken word. And the spoken word for Florence is a magic wand. It creates, it destroys, it transforms. But it only works when you speak with faith. And faith, for Florence, isn't believing that it will happen. Faith is knowing that it already has happened. The difference is subtle, but it changes everything. When you believe that it will happen, you're in the future. You're waiting. You're anxious. But when you know that it already happened, you're in the present. You're at peace. You're confident. And the subconscious responds to peace, not to anxiety. So, the third step is for you to affirm, out loud or mentally, a specific phrase that Florence taught, and the phrase needs to be in the past or in the present, never in the future. Wrong example. I will have money. Wrong example. I hope money comes. Right example. Money flows to me now. Right example. I have everything I need. Do you feel the difference? The first is hope. The second is certainty. And the subconscious only accepts certainty as a command. Hope it ignores, because hope carries doubt, and doubt cancels the affirmation. Florence taught Emily a specific affirmation to use before sleep, and this affirmation had 11 words. Emily repeated them mentally 3 times before turning off the light, and the words were, "My financial life is divinely ordered. Abundance flows to me. Now." Simple, direct, present. When Emily started doing this, she felt an internal resistance, a voice that said, "But this isn't true. You're broke." And Florence had warned about this. She said, "The ego will resist, because the ego lives on control. And when you affirm that it is done, you take control from the ego and hand it over to the divine. And that scares the ego. But you don't need to convince the ego. You just need to repeat. The ego gets tired. The subconscious obeys." So Emily repeated every night, 3 times. And after a few days, the resistance diminished. And after a week, she started to believe. Not with her mind, with her body. She felt different. As if something had already changed before it changed. And it was exactly at that moment, when she stopped forcing and started to flow, that things started to happen. The letter from her ex-husband, the new job, the promotion. Everything came in a natural sequence, but it wasn't luck. It was synchronicity. Because she had spent 7 nights, then 14, then 21, programming abundance in her subconscious. And the subconscious, which controls 95% of your decisions, started to guide her to opportunities, started to make her talk to the right people, be in the right places, make the right decisions, effortlessly, because it was programmed. But there's a 4th step, and this is the most important of all, because the first 3 prepare the ground, but the 4th seals the affirmation. The 4th step is surrender to sleep with confidence. Seems obvious, but it isn't. Most people do the steps and then stay awake thinking, will it work? Did I do it right? Is the money really going to come? And all this doubt erases everything that was planted. It's like planting a seed and then digging it up to see if it's germinating. You kill the seed. Florence taught that after the affirmation. You don't think anymore. You let go. You trust. And you sleep. And you let the subconscious work. Because the subconscious knows what to do. It doesn't need your supervision. It needs your permission. So the 4th step is literal. After your intentional prayer, take a deep breath. Relax your entire body and mentally say, "It is done. Now I rest." And then you let go. You don't toss and turn, thinking about money. You don't spend time planning what you'll do when you receive it. You don't mentally check if you've taken all the right steps. You trust that you've planted the seed. And you trust that it will germinate in the right time, in the right way. Emily said this was the hardest step for her, because she was anxious. She wanted to control everything. But Florence was firm. Either you trust or you block. There's no in between. So, Emily learned to surrender. And it was when she surrendered that everything accelerated. Now, let me tell you something Florence never wrote in her books, but that she shared verbally with a few students. And that Emily told me years later. The 5-minute ritual works faster for some people than for others. Not because the divine has favorites, but because some people have less accumulated resistance. If you've spent your whole life programming scarcity, it's going to take a little longer to reprogram. But if you're open, if you're willing, if you're tired of struggling, the reprogramming can happen in days. Emily was one of those. She was so exhausted from trying to control everything that when Florence offered a path of surrender, she accepted it fully. And that's why the manifestation came in a week. But some people take 3 weeks, some people take 6, and some people take 3 months. And that's okay, because the ritual doesn't stop working. It works in layers. First, it clears the most superficial beliefs. Then, the intermediate beliefs. Then, the deep beliefs. The ones you've carried since childhood. And as it clears them, abundance arrives in waves. First, small wins. Then, medium wins. Then, big wins. And suddenly, you look back and realize that your financial life has completely changed. Not because you won the lottery, but because you've become a different person. And a different person attracts a different reality. Florence used to say, you don't need to change the world. You need to change you. And when you change, the world changes for you. And the 5-minute ritual is the simplest and most powerful tool she left behind to make that change. Because it works directly with the subconscious, without needing to convince the conscious mind, without needing to fight with the ego. You simply plant, every night, 5 minutes, and let the subconscious take care of the rest. It's spiritual gardening. You don't keep poking the seed to grow faster. You water it. And wait, and trust, and it grows, on its own, because it's its nature. And there's one more thing I need to tell you before continuing. Florence tested this ritual with dozens of people over the years, and she noticed a pattern. The people who did the ritual and saw quick results had something in common. They didn't go around telling everyone what they were doing. They did it in silence, because when you tell everyone, you dissipate the energy. You open space for other people's doubt, for judgment, for envy, and all of that contaminates the affirmation. Florence called this the law of sacred silence. Affirmations made in secret have double the power, because the only witness is the divine. And the divine doesn't judge, doesn't doubt, only responds. So here's Florence's complete ritual for the 5 minutes before sleep. First step, release the day. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply 3 times. And say, I release this day, everything that happened. I accept everything that didn't happen. I let go. I offer grace to everyone, including myself. Second step, recognize what already is. Mentally list 3 things you're grateful for. It can be anything. Health, air, shelter, a person, an ability, anything that's true. Third step, affirm what is already done. Mentally repeat 3 times. My financial life is divinely ordered. Abundance flows to me now. Fourth step, surrender to sleep. Breathe deeply, relax your body, and say, it is done. Now I rest and let go. without thinking anymore, without doubting. Just trust. 5 minutes, 4 steps, a transformed life. It's simple. But simple doesn't mean easy, because the hard part isn't doing the steps. The hard part is maintaining discipline. It's doing it every night, even when you don't see immediate results. Even when the ego says it's not working, even when someone says it's nonsense, you continue. Because you're not doing it to prove anything to anyone. You're doing it to reprogram you. And reprogramming requires repetition, requires patience, requires faith in the process. But it works. It always works. For those who do it the right way and persist. And now I need to pause to tell you something important. You've just received a teaching that Florence protected her whole life. A ritual that she taught personally to dozens of people. And that changed the financial trajectory of all of them. This information was kept in small circles because Florence knew that most people wouldn't apply it. Most would listen, find it interesting, and continue doing things the old way. But you who have come this far, you're not the majority. You're seeking real transformation. And real transformation requires honoring the knowledge you receive. If this message about the 5-minute ritual touched you, if it made sense, honor that. Florence said, stagnant energy rots, circulating energy multiplies. The super thanks down there isn't just financial support. It's you activating the law of circulation. It's you saying, this wisdom is valuable, and I'm going to make it circulate. Few channels teach Florence's nightly ritual, because most haven't researched it as deeply as I have. Each video like this requires hours of studying ancient manuscripts, out-of-print books, undocumented stories. When you contribute, you allow this work to continue. You allow more people to discover what you've just discovered. You're not a spectator. You're an ally in this mission. And allies honor, share, and make it circulate. The golden heart of the super thanks is your affirmation that you understood. That you're not just going to receive, you're going to circulate too. And if you can't contribute financially now, no problem. Contribute with energy, comment, share. Send it to someone who needs it. Because circulation isn't just money. It's attention. It's intention. It's making the truth reach further. Florence said, those who receive and don't give, dry up. Those who give and don't receive, empty out. But those who receive and give in the same flow, multiply infinitely. So be the channel. Let it flow through you to the world. And watch what happens. Now let's talk about what to do after you start using the ritual. Because most people do the ritual and expect money to fall from the sky. And when it doesn't, they give up. But that's not how it works. The ritual reprograms you from the inside, but you have to take action on the outside. Florence called this divine collaboration. God opens the door, but you have to walk through it. The subconscious creates the opportunity, but you have to seize it. So, here's what to do in the first 7 days after you start the 5-minute ritual. First, pay attention to your thoughts during the day, especially in the morning, because the ritual plants seeds overnight. But if you wake up and immediately start complaining, doubting, worrying, you're pulling up what you planted. So, when you wake up, before you grab your phone, before you think about problems, take 3 deep breaths and say, I trust the process. What has been planted is germinating. And let the day flow. You don't need to force fake positivity. Just don't feed unnecessary negativity. Second, observe the synchronicities. The divine will start sending you signs. Conversations that appear out of nowhere. People who reach out to you. Ideas that pop into your head. Small opportunities that you use to ignore. Pay attention. And when you see a sign, act. Don't overanalyze. Don't question if it's a coincidence. Act. Because the divine tests you. It sends a small sign. If you respond, it sends a bigger one. If you ignore it, it stops sending them. So, respond. Always. Third, take care of your sleep, because the ritual works during sleep. If you sleep poorly, the processing is compromised. So, make sleep a priority. Turn off screens an hour before bed. Keep the room dark, quiet, cool. Go to bed at the same time every night, and wake up at the same time every morning. A consistent sleep routine enhances the ritual, because the subconscious loves patterns. When you create a pattern, it adapts faster. Fourth, don't tell everyone. I've already mentioned this, but I'll reinforce it. Keep the ritual to yourself, at most. Share it with 1 or 2 people you trust who will support you. But don't go around telling everyone, because there will always be someone who will say it's nonsense, who will laugh, who will doubt, and other people's doubt, when you're starting out, can destabilize you. So, protect the affirmation, do it in silence, and let the results speak for themselves. Fifth, write down the changes. It can be in a notebook, on your phone, wherever you want. But every week, write down what has changed. Small things count. You slept better. You woke up more energized. You had an interesting conversation. You received unexpected money, even if it's a small amount. Write everything down, because when you document, you create proof for your brain. And when the brain sees proof, it believes more. And when it believes more, it manifests faster. It's a virtuous cycle. And there's one last thing I need to reveal to you. Florence discovered that the 5-minute ritual works even better when you combine it with a morning ritual. It doesn't have to be long, but it has to be intentional. Emily, after she started seeing results with the nighttime ritual, asked Florence, "What about in the morning? Is there something I should do?" And Florence said, "Yes, but it's the opposite of the nighttime ritual. At night you plant, in the morning you water. And watering means strengthening what has been planted." Florence's morning ritual was like this. Right upon waking, before getting out of bed, still lying down, she would place her hand on her heart and say out loud, "I give thanks for this new day. I trust that everything I need will come to me. I am a channel of abundance." And then she would get up. Simple. 20 seconds. But those 20 seconds created the frequency for the day. Because the first thing you say after waking up programs the emotional tone for the next few hours. If you wake up and complain, the day feels heavy. If you wake up and give thanks, the day feels light. And a light day attracts opportunities. A heavy day attracts problems. Emily adopted this ritual. Night, 5-minute ritual. Morning, 20 seconds of gratitude. And the combination was powerful because she was surrounding the entire day with affirmations. Before sleeping, planting. Upon waking, watering. And during the day, observing. In 3 months, her financial life had changed completely. She wasn't rich, but she was stable. And stability, after years of chaos, was wealth. And you can do the same. You can start today, tonight, before sleeping. Do the ritual, 5 minutes, 4 steps, and tomorrow morning, before getting up, hand on your heart, give thanks for the day. Do this for 7 days in a row and observe what happens. Don't expect a miracle on the first day. Expect signs, subtle ones, small ones, and as you respond to the signs, they will get bigger. And in a few weeks, you will look back and realize that something has changed. Not dramatically, but profoundly. And profound change is permanent. Dramatic change is usually temporary. Florence lived to be 83 years old. And until her last day, she did the 5-minute ritual, even when she was already financially stable, even when she already had everything she needed. Because the ritual wasn't about money. It was about synchronicity. It was about keeping the mind clear, the heart open, faith active. And when you live like that, abundance isn't something you chase. It's something that chases you. You become a natural magnet because you are on the right frequency, and frequency attracts. Always. So, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You now have a tool that can change your financial life forever. Use it responsibly. Use it consistently. Use it with faith. And remember, the ritual doesn't work miracles. You are the miracle. The ritual just awakens the miracle that already exists within you, but was dormant, blocked, forgotten, and is now being remembered. And when you remember who you really are, the world reorganizes to reflect that. It always has. It always will. Before you go, I want you to do something. Comment down below. Are you going to do the ritual before bed? Or are you on Team Scroll before sleep? Team Nighttime Affirmation? Or Team Scroll before sleep? Choose your team and commit publicly. Because when you declare publicly, you activate witnesses, and witnesses amplify commitment. You're not just talking to me, you're talking to yourself and to the divine. And when you commit, the divine responds. And if you know someone who is struggling financially, who is tired of trying and failing, send this video to them. You don't need to explain much. Just say, "Watch this. It could change everything." Because it can. Florence proved it. Emily proved it. Hundreds of people have proved it. And now it's your turn to prove it. Not to me, to yourself. So go. Do the ritual today, 5 minutes, before sleeping, and tomorrow. Tell me what happened. I'll be here, reading, responding, celebrating every victory with you. Because this isn't just a channel. It's a community of people who are awakening to the power they've always had. And the stronger this community, the faster we all transform. So be part of it. Active, present, committed, and let's go together.